go.
Oh, we're on.
We're on. It's another rainy day here.
Oh my gosh, yes. Instead of ash, there was just mud. That's what I came in as.
Yes. Because it's
It was a deluge.
Mm-hmm. Well, you texted me and said I'm stuck in my car.
I
said I'm
in my
stuck at work.
car, and I had to get out, and I'm looking, and I know I have an umbrella someplace. You think I can find it? So in the back seat, I've got a box of old referee jerseys that I'm going to give to your son and grandchildren. And I'm thinking, oh, I just put those on. I did. I put one over my shoulder. I put a hat on and waited. And I was able to go in. And I came out. But the water on the ground just cannot absorb it that fast. It can't absorb. So you end up with flooding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, the lag time for it to soak into something is going to take a while for all of that water to get to a place and say, I can get sucked down.
Yeah, because I was telling somebody, I said, I'm looking out my window now and you can't even hardly see in front of you. And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's pouring down rain here. Pouring down rain.
It's most amazing. We're in Southern Virginia. Obviously, you figured we're in Virginia, but we're in rural Southern Virginia. And I came from upstate New York. When storms hit, they hit in a larger area. If the Tri-City areas, they were all raining it. Down here, it's like God dumped a bucket in just one spot.
Mm-hmm. And it might be sunny in someplace else.
Exactly.
Or not raining anyway.
It wasn't raining at my house. I drove 7 miles away, and it's a downpour, and the roads are flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got the windshield wipers on maximum, and I still can't see. And I turn the lights on, and I'm thinking, should I put my emergency flashers? So if anybody sees me, they can see this little gray monster. So, yes, it was very wet.
Mm-hmm.
So Soot and Ash got soaked.
We did. It was like up over my ankles where I had to come out of. So, and nowhere you could go that is going to be any less. But anyway, it's okay.
How high is the water? 2 foot high and rising. Sang that in 1972 when there was a flood. And you guys got the flood down here too. Anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't flood like other places. Like Richmond will flood because of the rivers. But we don't get the flooding like a lot of people do.
No.
It'll pile up and everything, but it's eventually going to run off. Now we have had, like where the rivers have, gone across the roads and stuff. And when I say river, I guess it's more like the creeks. Some of these little creeks that we have on the back roads, and they overflow onto the road.
Because
but they're dangerous.
They can't flow that fast. They just now where we live, they have the 2 bridges, and then there's the stream that goes. And there have been times when there have been flooding that we went by, and it was debris like 10 feet up because it's a very low spot, and everything's coming down, and it's bottlenecked. It just can't get through. Nothing's slowing it down except maybe the bridges, and that's how bridges get out. Speaking of bridges, just went off on a tangent. Just happened to see a video the other day. Don't really know how I got to it. It's, those of us who are elderly and have gray on our top of our hair, a lot of frost up here, we might end up stumbling on something we have no idea how we got there, and then we never can find it again. It's gone off into na-na land. But Miley Cyrus has a new song called Flowers. And it's a very nice song. I like the song. I like the beat. And I just happened to pop on a video, and it looks like a dance studio. And there's 2 little kids, probably 10 and 11 years old, little girl, and they're all dressed up, and they are doing a ballroom dance to this song. It is, I was just awestruck. They had the movement. Now, don't ask me what dance they were doing. The only thing I might have known would be, it might be a cha-cha or a waltz, because that's all I know is that they scored 10 on my scale.
All right.
They were so good.
On the Ash scale.
On the Ash scale, yes. It's sort of like the mole scale of hardness, right? or, the hurricane scale or the tornado scale. Anyway, an F10.
So now, okay, so you said, speaking of bridges, and then you went to okay.
And then the next one that came along, stick with us.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
Here. So the next video that came along, it was probably some country in South America, all right, that had the whole bridge and road had been washed out. So you could see part of the road on one side and the road on the other side, and you could see the part that washed out and down. And it looked like there was a heavy equipment, like a backhoe or something, that got stuck that was down there. However, on the far side of the road, there was this truck, and it was hauling this humongous tree trunk. It had to be, it looked like a giant redwood. That's how big it was. It was bigger than the cab of the truck in diameter. Okay, give you an idea. At least 10 feet, at least. And long, probably 35 feet long. And it's on a trailer. Now, the water's rushing, so you imagine the rushing water. It's flooding. What should you do? Probably not go across. We watched this video for about 15 minutes. This person went down, and I thought that the cab of the truck was going to hit the back of the log and just like, and then he's going up, and now he's got to go up about 8 feet because that's where and he's we watched it for, I'm sure,
just
about
couldn't
15.
feel yourself away, could
Because he
you?
backed down and then.
And are you rooting for him, or are you just thinking, okay, is this going to work?
How long this idiot's going to really do this? Because now that he's down in there, how is he going to back up? Because he can't, because the cab, the wheels of the cab are down, so he couldn't really back up. So it was, once you are committed, if you're really crazy and you're committed, you don't come out forever.
So now what happens? Did you see the end?
No, we got fed up with it. So that's a tale. So you guys go look it up. Tell us what happened. We watched it, and he was making some progress. It was like the little train that can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
But look at the mud that in the ruts and stuff. It's got to be.
Wheels were like spinning and smoking. And then he'd back down, and he'd get like
he must have had a delivery to make or something. Or just
it was like a running start. And then he'd go sideways. I'm like, oh nope. And then he'd go sideways over here. I'm like, and he couldn't go too far to the one side because there was a heavy equipment. And I said, well, why didn't he just go around the other way, make another path? Anyway, I just had to tell you that now everyone's going to be wondering what happened. So that was, yes, we went from water to bridges to idiots.
Well, speaking of water, I've been watching Shark Week.
Oh.
And I'm telling you what, these people, some of the things that they do and stuff, I mean, I sit there and cringe because I'm like, what? They had on the one that we were watching last night, they had this fake whale that they had made, and they called it, was it Earl? Maybe. And so then the scuba diver gets down in it, and then you can see clear underneath, so you can see if the shark's coming there or not. Well, and then they actually have like fake blood that they could put up in the nose of it so they can draw more sharks because they're trying to get a picture.
They're inside this whale?
They're inside this thing, and then the other people are in these boats, but they're in boats that blow up. Not boats.
You mean if it goes,
Exactly.
And you're now in the water that you've been chumming for sharks?
And so the shark that they were looking at was actually almost as long as the whale was. It was like an 18-foot shark. So it came over there and it was bumping the whale. And then then these people jump in the water to activate the blood.
Are they crazy?
Then they get stuck between the shark. They couldn't get back to the boat. So there they are, they're swimming around in blood. The guy's in this thing and he needs to shoot they're trying to put a tag on this on this shark. But they can't get the gun to him, but they can't get the guy's back. The blood's in the water. The camera crew is going like this through the, and I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness. And then all of a sudden, the shark takes the, whatever they call it. It was this, I guess it's this thing that's like a weight or whatever. Anyway, he takes the weight and starts dragging the boat, the whale, and everything.
You can't make this stuff up.
You can't make it up. And I was like, I
Wait a
couldn't.
minute, here we come.
We were watching it on TV, and I was like, I couldn't peel away because I mean, I'm sitting there wanting to go like this, but by the same token, I'm like
I put the blanket over my head and go.
exactly, because I'm like, I mean, these guys are in the water. They're trying to get them back. Of course, they're scared. And then so they finally get the guys back in because the whale, I mean, the shark goes around. So they get back in. They're pulling them in. And then the shark bumps this whale that they've made. And he comes up and he actually eats one of the fins off of it. I mean, that's how big and so he takes one of the fins off of it.
And it's fake material.
And it's fake material because, you know, they've made this thing. But I was like, oh my gosh. And so then on
Indigestion and
then in
sharks.
another part, so they're like, well, this is happening over here. But while they're showing this, they're showing clips of like things that have happened also. And one of the shows that we were watching, they were showing clips of like close calls or whatever. Well, anyway, these two guys are standing in very shallow water. I mean, not too much, not too much like near their leg, over their legs and stuff, but they were with bull sharks. And bull sharks are supposed to be really aggressive, but they were trying to show that you could stand around bull sharks and that they wouldn't bother you. And by that time, it takes the guy's cap off. And so they're pulling him out of the water, and the cap is all shredded and everything. And anyway, they put him back together, and I think 8 weeks later, he was back in the water jumping or diving again. But I was like,
I read a book many years ago called Shark Attack, based on all the different ones. I don't really like swimming in the ocean. There are very large teeth there.
When they say you can't be fooled by shallow water because
You
people think
cannot,
that they
and
won't
that's where
come in
most of the
shallow
attacks
water.
were.
Exactly. They will come in shallow water.
And in the tidal pools,
Mm-hmm.
because they get stranded in the tidal pools, and if you walk in it, you're their food. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read that book probably 50 years ago.
Well, and you know, now they say up there near Cape Cod and all, they're having a
Oh.
run of sharks again, which I think that's up there where near Jaws was like supposed
oh,
to be
yeah, it was.
like
Yeah,
filmed
yeah,
and
mhm.
stuff. But
I
No.
think it was outside of Barnstable on Cape Cod that they did it, and it was great white. I mean, the great whites they're huge,
Mm-hmm.
and
No, I'm not playing with a shark. I'm sorry.
no,
Mm-mm.
we when we went to the beach with our my sister-in-law and her husband, and our niece was young, and this was in Rehoboth in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And we rented a condo, and we're up on the 4th floor. It's later in the day, and we're standing there. It's the first and only time I've had a margarita. It's like drinking kerosene, so no, I don't like it. Anyway, I tried it, and it wasn't the margarita that made me see what I saw. We're standing there, and I'm looking out, and you see the lifeguard stand up on his chair, and he's blowing the whistle, and he's doing this. And I'm like, oh, and you could see the fin, and you could see the shadow of that shark just going along the beach. And I'm thinking, I love the ocean, but I'll just bring a book and read.
Exactly. See, no, I like that too.
Big fish in there. And then before we had gone on that trip, I had a student teacher whose in-laws had a house on the Gulf Coast
Mm-hmm.
in Lemon Bay. It's a little community. It was Lemon Bay. And their home was right, I mean, you walk 10 feet, you kiss, and you could sit and fish. But we would go to the beach. And the first day at the beach, I'm like, ooh, there's big fins out there. So, it's tarpon. I think I'll take my raft and I'm going to go back and sit on the beach. The last day there we went, and there's the tarpon head, and there's the munch. Because what's feeding off the tarpon? Something a lot bigger. So, yeah, I love the ocean. I like to go out on boats. I like to fish.
I don't want to blow up boat though near a shark.
I don't want one that when it goes like that, it goes and gone. No, I don't want to tread water.
I finished taping it because there is an instance on this show that we were watching, but I was like, I've got to go to sleep. But I mean, I could have sat there and just kept watching. But actually, the shark does come up and bites the boat, and it's so I don't know what happens to the people yet.
Instant
I don't know.
Patch. You got instant patch.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, but you know, when last year when we were down in Florida, they took us out. We went swimming with the dolphins, but they'll tell you where dolphins are, there's no sharks.
Right.
But was Karen concerned? Absolutely. You know, so Karen didn't want to get but so far away. But yes, because
when the dolphins leave,
I know here. Because if they're gone and I can't get back to
the out of here.
Exactly.
We agree. They're not going to catch something.
I respect the ocean because it's got big things in there that
I mean, we could do. I think there's things in there that we have never ever seen.
Probably so.
And they keep finding some stuff in the depth, ugly things that they thought was like, wow, where did this come from? So well,
you know, I'm learning that the sharks go on they electrical pulses, and so that's what one of these guys was down in. One of these guys was down in one of these cages, and they were showing it was a clip from back when he did it, like maybe in the 70s or 80s or something like this. And anyway, the shark could feel the electrical pulses from the cords and everything that they had to lower and to run things. So anyway, it came and attacked and everything. So, I mean, they got him back up and all. So now he was going back out on it at his age. That's what I told my husband. I said, he's crazy. But so he was trying something new and stuff, but they know that the electrical impulses, plus I don't think they see, but they smell, and it's their radar. I mean, so they feel.
And they're ancient. I mean, they've been around. They're one of the oldest.
I just don't want to play with them. So no,
it's not. And the ocean has. I had an older gentleman who he had been in the Navy. I don't know if it was during the Korean War or not, but was an officer, and he said that in the Pacific, one time they had all these marks on their boat, and they couldn't figure out where it came from, other than something very giant, and they picked up something very large, supposedly, you know, like giant squids and stuff. They've had pictures of these things, tentacles on beaches that are huge. So no, I'm not going to go.
Well, and there's movies, you know, one of my grandsons and we kind of binge watched some shark movies while we were at the beach, because we knew we were going to the pool.
There's a backup.
we didn't watch it on days that we knew we might go to the beach, but you know, but there are some ones that are scary and stuff. And I'm like, some of the people that I'm like, I don't know if I could do what they did to survive. I mean, I don't know, because I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know. The sharks, I respect
them. Have you seen Jaws?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we saw both of them. The first one was absolutely one of the scariest movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the theater when it came out. Gee, it had to be in like
1970 something, right?
It was in the late 70s.
Late 70s, yes.
Right? Because we went with a friend of ours, and I had been working at the YMCA camp. And 4 of us went, and the only seats left in the whole theater. Front row seats, right? When that shark showed up, I'm picking my feet up. I'm trying to get up off the floor. My feet are going. Now, the funniest thing is, my poor husband was having an allergy attack, right? And every time that adrenaline hit in, his nose cleared up. It's like, okay, so it has some redeeming factors. Good for you. Oh, it was
scary. And imagine if that had been in 3D.
Oh,
I would have been.
No, I wouldn't.
See, I was a teenager. Well, not even a teenager then. I
You were
I might have
been
quite. I was. Yeah, I might have been right there at it. But yeah, I remember being scared out of my mind.
Oh, it was in front row seats. It's right smack in front of you.
I mean, and especially, I mean, they had it to where it just they had it timed really well.
That was one of the scariest movies. And the other one, and I know people are going to think I'm crazy, Jurassic Park, the first one.
Yeah.
And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it.
But I think it's the suspense with them. They timed the suspense so well too, don't you think?
Well, and the thing,
And the velociraptors
I used to show that in my earth science class. Remember, we had a movie day on Fridays. If we didn't have a test, and that movie would go on for 4 weeks. So at least the kids would come to school to my class. But there'd be worksheets to go with it. But if you imagine, now they did it pretty much according to what they found in fossils. And since then, they found larger ones. Now, hello. And one of the scariest scenes is when they're in the Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
And they just picked up, what's his name? That was a mathematician.
Okay.
Glasses, you know what I mean? The actor, very good. I love him. Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Go, yeah.
Right.
And he got hurt. Remember, he was hurt, and they threw him in the back. And he's looking at these puddles, and the puddles are showing the resonance of the stepping of the dinosaur. Because every time the dinosaur, poof, and the water goes, boom. And that dinosaur is right behind him. Must go faster. Must go lots faster. And then you see the objects in the near may be closer than they appear. Like, okay. And he appears like the jaws right there. How much? That's a really good movie for fear. But it also, you could do some studies. I mean, the velociraptors supposedly were like pack animals. And they worked together to sort of hunt. Now you think about that, it's like, sort of like wolves do and coyotes when they get together. So yeah, those are two scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
Vampires scare me, but not that much.
Well, I think it's the ones that bother me the most are the ones that can be real.
Really, exactly.
I mean, that could possibly happen.
Well,
I mean, and I'm sorry. I mean, there are some. I don't care what you tell me. I heard it today again that sharks don't eat people. That's not true. Well, they may not be eating people, but they're eating something that they think looks like their food. And if we're swimming on a raft looking like their food, then they might eat us.
See, this is what bothers me with people. Wolves don't live in New York. Excuse me. They live in Canada.
They live in Wall Street.
They don't know boundaries. They can go right down to Wall Street. They don't know. Hello, guys. If you really interviewed these things, like, hello, Mr. Wolf, do you not like New Yorkers? It's like,
have they found wolves in New York?
We saw one. I've heard them.
In New York?
Yes. What's to stop? An animal doesn't know boundaries.
So it doesn't know it's coming up on, well, this is a city. We can't go here.
Exactly. They don't know.
We got to stay in the country because that's where
when they say, well, sharks don't eat people. Excuse me, do we have something, a little stamp on our behind that says, I'm a human, don't touch me? Really? If you're out there and the conditions are right, guess what?
Well, some of the things that they were showing is that, like when you're laying on a raft,
exactly,
the way you look like maybe something that they would eat. And even though they're not going by their eyes so much because it's like blurry or something, it's still, you're giving that shape. Yeah. And then when they start smelling or the sound and its movement, so they're going to go start bumping. And they might start tasting. And that's when they said sometimes you're getting that first like gnaw or the nibble. I don't want to be nibbled.
I don't want. The only thing that we like to nibble are hors d'oeuvres. I do not want to be an hors d'oeuvre for a shark.
No.
I don't want to be a dip. I don't want to be their chips. I don't want to be any of that. No chip and dip.
But and one of the shows I watched this past week, one of the guys or one of the people, because I didn't take this one, but I was just watching it.
Are you watching your pronouns? I'm sorry, I had to just interject that.
They or he or she or whatever,
yeah, whatever,
had like 200 and some bites from where a shark got them, and they still got back in the water, and because they felt like that's where they belonged. And I'm like,
there's pools.
Chum, you feel like you belong as chum. I don't know.
See, I respect shark, and I think it's. I would hate to see them become extinct because they have a role. But in the meantime, don't give people the idea that, oh, it's okay, they don't eat humans. Excuse me? Read the book that I read, because they had so many different, it was called Shark Attack, and they had so many different instances and numbers.
Well, we've seen it just in the news over the last couple of years on the coast and stuff.
That's
People,
right.
how many shark bites have people got? I mean, because they've been coming up just nibbling because you were dangling your little leg, and they look like they're little fish or something.
That's right. And
like I said, I'm just not. Not a big fan. I mean, I like to go to the ocean. I love to watch the waves and stuff, but swimming in it and doing, no, I'm not.
I like to parasail. You parasailed.
I didn't parasail, but the grandkids did, but that was really
that's
nice.
fun, as long as you don't dip me in the water, because it's sort of like fly fishing.
That's true. I didn't think about that, but they did. They dipped them down.
Dip them in the water.
They dipped them down.
Oh, fly fishing. Let's see, what can we catch with these humans?
But if your ropes break, you're automatically
you're down. Hello. No.
It's just it's interesting.
It is.
Because there's so much that you don't know about it.
I'm going to see if I have that book, because I've been known to keep books forever. If I do, you can read it.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
You're already sold on not going into the ocean, right?
Oh yeah. I've seen Jaws. I watch Shark. I do, for some reason, I get intrigued by these. So another show I've been watching lately too, this week too, is I've been getting into this To Catch a Smuggler. How people will put things in their bodies and how they're try to smuggle things into the U.S. And then they'll try to claim, I didn't know what that was.
You just swallowed this balloon and you do not know what's in it, right?
Or you just put this in your underwear and you just don't know why. Somebody just told you, here, I'll get you a ticket if you'll just put this in your underwear. What?
People are really gullible.
I don't think no, see.
They're probably not gullible. They're just...
You're stupid if you think that we're going to think that, yes, because I mean, no. If somebody were, I don't have ticket, no. So it's just, some of these are just interesting to me to see what human nature, and like I said, to see these people go back in. I know that, people fall off a horse or you fall off a bike. Totally different than going back into the ocean to where.
Well, see, you know what to expect from a bike. And you know what to expect from a horse. You don't know what you're going to get when you go into that water again. That's sort of like the unknown.
You really have to have a love for the ocean.
And sharks, I guess.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I love to watch the whales.
Yeah,
I love to watch whales and dolphins and all of those. And I saw a picture on Facebook with, and I think it was Provincetown at the end of Cape Cod, 3 whales breaching at the same time.
See, that's neat.
Now that was awesome. And Jenna and I, our daughter and I, have seen that. And I love it. I love to do that. But I'll just stay on the boat, thank you. I don't want to get off the boat.
Don't get off and don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat. I love to go. My sister will take you out on boats because she belongs to, and she does piloting and everything, and that's fun because I trust her.
What's piloting?
She's a pilot.
Oh,
she got her license.
Okay,
she got her license for that.
I thought that was something new. Okay, we're going to be piloting.
She's not a cowboy at it, She's taking kids out and they love it, that type of thing.
I love going out on a boat on the water. I mean, I love it. But if the boat were to cut off in the ocean and I would be stuck out there.
Start growing.
See, that's one reason I think I don't want to go on a cruise. Because I want to be able to swim to shore. And they don't necessarily come get you on a cruise.
See, I can relate
just because
to
a cruise will stop. I mean,
they try to fix it before you.
And see, no, I'd be like, no, I'd be that manic.
Can I have the
yes, that person.
That's sort of how the way I want to fly. I want to fly very low to the ground, so that when you fall, it's just like poof. 10 feet, I can handle it. Instead of 36,000 feet. Mayday, we're coming down. I'm like, no, hello.
Exactly.
See, I can relate to that. Well,
But I do want to, which I wanted to do when I turned 55 and I didn't do it. I do want to jump out of a plane. Tandem jump.
no.
Tandem jump.
No.